The box art, nature's finest showcase of physical media. I've amassed a collection of video games to the point that shelf space and storage are necessary. Cause let's face it, after you're done with a game, you gotta make it look as presentable as possible, whether it's organizing in a cupboard or a doodad drawer. The PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5 box art, such an anomaly of development. My PS3 collection looks inconsistent due to Sony changing the layout since 2009, but the jump to post-PS3 and pre-PS4, absolutely consistent. Though I will admit, the jump between PS4 and PS5, practically non-existent in terms of creativity or showmanship. Ooh, look at me, I'm a white guy now instead of a blue or black guy, I'm special. But at least their box arts are uniformed, organized, and looks pleasing. It's not much, but it does get the job done. Minus the PlayStation Select games with their red spine. The same goes for my Switch library. Sure, creators like Has-Been Heroes didn't get the fucking memo, so fuck them. And for some reason, Nier Automata has lowercase letters when every single other game are caps locked. All the while, all the text for the game titles are basic and boring, but it's so organized. Neat and nice legible text with the game company on the bottom of the spine. Sure, region games can be a little bit of a mess and European games can disrupt the lineup. Yeah, that's right, fuck you, Cooking Mama's Cookstar. But overall, it's nice. It's uniform, and Nintendo hasn't changed the layout since the launch date. With how uniform the two of the big three operate, it's only a matter of time for Xbox to fuck everything up. So the Xbox One box art is fine, I guess. It's kind of weird how the disc is on the left side of the box when you open it compared to every other console, where the disc or cartridge will be naturally on the right side. But honestly, this is as good as we're gonna get with the logo engraved into the casing and the spine just being as uniform as the PlayStation 4 and Switch combined. A nice black background with the game logo and the Xbox One logo engraved at the tip. A feature in the revision of the Xbox One console includes this green text on the bottom of the box art, indicating that it plays, in fact, on Xbox One. Yeah, because it's totally not obvious from the spine of the logo, the engraving on the top section of the green casing, that this is in fact an Xbox game. They eventually removed this for future games since it was completely unnecessary, and when the Xbox One decides to be backwards compatible with previous Xbox and Xbox 360 titles...
What is this garbage?
This isn't an Xbox One game, it's an Xbox 360 with an Xbox One box art. So now you have two different engravings for two different systems in the use of the Xbox One case. Well, that's a dumb move on its own, but then you just had to change the spine to just say Xbox. Why not just say Xbox 360 instead? That at the very least makes it look like it's actually an Xbox 360 game instead of confusing the consumer to it being an Xbox One game. This admittedly is the only game I own with the Xbox One variant. There are other games that do this like Black Ops 1 and 2 Combo Pack, Doom 3, and Far Cry 3, but I'm not gonna bother buying a copy of the game I already own for the sake of comparing footage, especially due to how expensive it is compared to the original box art. So now I get a worse looking box art, and I'm getting ripped off at the same time. Who the hell thought this was a good idea? Oh, but if you already have an existing Xbox 360 collection, well look at that! It looks awful! The dimensions are wrong, the spine is incorrect, not that the greatest hit spines for 360 games are any better, and the worst sin of Xbox 360 games being on the left side when you open up the box! Seriously? Why did they do that? Apparently it's to make it easier for right-hander users to grab the disc out of the case, since the human population is predominantly right-handed. Alright, well, let's ignore the fact that I'm actually left-handed for a brief moment, and let's take that information into account. Oh my god, the struggles of being right-handed. To all my fellow righties out there. Was this ever an issue? Look, I may be left-handed, but grabbing the game with my right hand is not the equivalent of writing with my right hand. The disc and cartridges are already designed for right-handers in mind, since all you had to do is just grab it, or even push the middle button so the disc ejects from the case with your right thumb on your right hand. Grabbing it from the left side makes it harder for right-handers because of the lack of space to grab the disc. And it's also harder for left-handers too because Xbox One eject buttons are actually harder to press. You're required to push more force into the eject button to take the disc out. So not only have you gimped righties, but you made it harder for lefties too. You are literally benefiting no one for this. I swear, the only way they can make this any worse is if they change the spines on the Xbox One to just Xbox.
I was kidding!
So around 2019, Xbox box art now has a generic Xbox spine, despite only having Xbox One games since the Series X didn't release at the time. But then the Xbox Series X released and used the exact same format as the Xbox One box art under a complete overhaul of the Xbox brand to just the Xbox brand. They removed the color of the spine logo and the small border to indicate whether or not it's playable on Xbox One or the Xbox Series X. Okay, fine, whatever. It's dumb. It makes it so that I don't know whether or not the game is an Xbox One game or an Xbox Series game. But at the same time, there weren't really any Xbox Series X exclusive games yet, so maybe they were just trying to do a transitional period. There's not much difference between the Xbox One and Series X, so maybe this is more of a complete beefed up version of the Xbox One hardware, rather than the next generation of Xbox. Honestly, that's kind of a clever tactic. If we're considering the Xbox One and Series X under one roof, it's like the difference between the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. Not in terms of graphical leap, mind you, but if it's marketed that way, it probably would make more sense. Considering the overhaul design of the Wii U versus the Switch, and the PlayStation 5 including a new controller gimmick and SSD loading in comparison to the PS4, they do seem like evolutions, whereas Xbox Series X is just a grown-up version of the Xbox One. Then the Series X has officially standardized boxes and it looks trash! Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5 were the start of this new change, and I absolutely hate it. So the cool etching of the Xbox logo is no longer on the top side, it's now crammed to the top left-hand corner, making it look boring and generic. They removed the green ridge from the top and shifted the logo all the way to the top. I'm not a big fan of this, but at this point I've given up. Fuck it all. My Xbox One and Xbox Series games are under one shelf. It looks stupid, but it wouldn't be if Xbox didn't flip-flop between designs. But whatever. Official Xbox Series X box arts, and they just had to re-add the green ridge on the spine.
Stop! Deceased! Do not!
Just to give a final fuck you to my OCD, they changed the color and size of the green trim of the spine.
If this is what the current state of what Xbox games are gonna look like in the future, fine, fuck it, whatever. It's not as good as the old ones, but for sakes, stop changing shit!